Hey, I'm Jenny Eliscu. If you listen to the show regularly, you know that usually episodes begin with the artist who's about to be interviewed introducing themselves, which in this case would have gone something like, "Hi, I'm Julian Casablancas, and this is the LSQ podcast." But I was so excited to be interviewing Julian Casablancas of The Strokes and the Voidz for episode 113 that I forgot to have him record that. Oh well. But why was I so excited that I lost my head? For a couple of reasons. One being that I've been a huge fan of Julian as an artist and songwriter ever since I first saw The Strokes play at the Mercury Lounge in New York in late 2000. I've been following his work closely ever since and have had the chance to interview him quite a few times over the years, but never as in-depth as the conversation you'll hear. But I was also really excited because although most of the interviews nowadays happen over Zoom, this one was in person. Julian had generously offered to meet up backstage at the Orpheum here in LA right after an incredible performance by the Voidz. And the Voidz have just put out their new album Like All Before You, which I encourage you to dig into. Anyway, I loved getting to have this conversation with Julian and ask him some questions I've always wanted to, and also just catch up with an old friend. Let's get into it.
Well, there's no Jenny Eliscu.
We're both blonde now. What the fuck?
Oh, shit.
Look at that. Can I have you put this onto your vest here? Vestments. There we go.
It's good to
Going
see
there.
you.
It's good to see you too. It's been a million years.
It is.
That show was fucking great.
Thanks. I was on stage, you can't tell.
Really?
Yeah, you don't know what it sounds like.
That's the first show of these. There's a few of them now. Like, then you're gonna go to New York after.
Yeah, just 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have we begun?
I mean, we're recording now, so
Okay, that's
it's
fine.
all happening.
I need to know when to start being super unnatural.
Now, start now.
It's like when someone busts out a camera, I don't know how to sit, put my arms, stand. I start, my body starts.
It's me. We've done this a few times before.
I know, but what about the judges, the listeners out there? The strangers.
I like to think I hope they're chill. Could I close that door? Would you feel okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can do it.
Thank you. I'll do a proper introduction. It's me, Jenny Eliscu, and Julian Casablancas.
What's up?
We are backstage at the Orpheum Theater. The Orf here in Los Angeles.
Everyone calls it that.
And the Voidz have just, in recent weeks, released a new album called Like All Before You. And Labby. So on this show, though, I ask people about way back. I always like to begin, and weirdly, in all the times that I've interviewed you over the years, like, we never really have talked about this stuff. Stuff like, when you were a kid, when do you first remember feeling like creative? What's the first thing you remember feeling creative about as a human?
Sorry to pause so long. I'm thinking about, because there's probably times when I did something, but when I was 13, 14, something awakened in me intellectually, or I evolved, or whatever, grew. What's the word?
Both.
Human gets there.
Yeah.
Aged, matured.
Continued to live.
And a couple of things happened. One, I was not playing music at this time, but I felt I had an understanding of it. Like, I saw other people playing music and I thought, I feel like how they're doing it is weird, and I wanted to, you know what I mean? Like, because other people were playing guitars together, and so I did feel like I wanted to I understood music and wanted to do stuff within it without having actually kind of technically, picked up a guitar and knowing how to play it and stuff. I guess I messed around on pianos and stuff, and then at the same time I was in a play in school, and so I had this very small role.
What was the play?
It was Well, the first play I can't remember, but basically the director, our English teacher, he's like, I had some guy got sick or he couldn't do it, and I had this tiny role, and I did this over-the-top performance. And he was like, oh, I've been wanting to do this play for a long time. I'm like waiting for the right person. And so the next year was the Caucasian Chalk Circle, a Bertolt Brecht play.
Wow, what's the general storyline of the?
Well, there's a bigger story, but I guess my side, I was like a judge, a guy who becomes a judge. And yeah, I guess he's just like a miscreant and somehow weasels his way or tricks his way into becoming a judge. And then there's something like at the end, he does like a King Solomon thing where he's like, they're fighting over a kid and so he offers to cut him in half or something.
But you felt like it was a moment where that was fun for you. You were just like, so it awoke something kind of.
Well, yeah, it was like this kind of a crazy role. It was like the lead in a high school play, or not high school, whatever, 10th grade.
Middle school, yeah. Middle school.
Yeah, I guess high school. Yeah, and it was like, it was like performed and the whole thing, people laughing.
Yeah.
So I guess that was the first thing.
Did you do more of that kind of thing after that?
You know what? I instantly knew that I didn't want to do acting. I just wanted to, I knew that music, well, it might be kind of cold and intellectual, but I just knew that actors, like I looked at the best actors and they all seemed to kind of hate acting and think it was stupid and feel like it was fake and they were like unhappy or something, or like unsatisfied or kind of pretending. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
I do actually still, I love, it's just like, James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, like people who are just the art of physical, I don't know what they're doing. It's like
just like embodiment
human
or
art.
something.
Yeah, because they're not necessarily like just black and white beautiful, but they did something with how they were and just kind of broke through everything to become the most iconic people. And so I'm saying I personally maybe disagree, but I was thinking more like Marlon Brando and other just people who just felt like, even though actors were bigger stars, because more people like them and relate to them, and you have to be likable. So it's more kind of like, wow, stardom and money and stuff. But musicians always seemed like any old musician got like a ton of respect and felt very fulfilled. And so just from my perspective, not thinking I'd ever, be successful or anything, but just thinking that seemed like it'd be a wiser, it's like, yeah, I don't know why. I guess I look at like what you kind of look at the finish line, like what's the best thing that can happen? What's the worst thing? It seems
more practical to try for that sort of.
Well, it's like politics. I love politics. That's my thing that I'm most interested in, whatever things that children are taught in school, whether people can be shot and without accountability. You know what I'm saying? Like just that kind of stuff. But the best thing that can happen to you if you're the best of the best, Michael Jordan, politics, you get shot or taken down or... So I'm just saying like that's another kind of... Just with that thinking, just interesting to see like seeing things through.
You also mentioned that there were some people around who were playing guitars that you were sort of like, that's interesting, but I would do it differently. Who would those people have been?
Just people who were in school playing.
Right.
I had a friend he played bass, and it wasn't him so much, but he was playing with other people, and I was like, I was trying to explain to them, even then, it's funny, I didn't even know how to play guitar, and I still do that now with people, like, suggesting things. But they couldn't do it because they didn't understand what I was talking about, and so I was like, I'll do it myself.
So were you, at that point, did you sort of teach yourself how to play, or was there ever like I know eventually you did a little bit of like the Five Towns kind of era of like some schooling on it, but back in high school, did you just learn? Yeah,
I had a guitar. I had a guitar lesson. He let me borrow his guitar, and so I was learning. I mean, I was into Nirvana at the time, so it was kind of the perfect, very easy to quickly teach yourself a lot of. If you have an ear, you could like just instantly learn. I always liked figuring out songs, so. Before I got, technically better, Nirvana songs and Green Day even,
And
I think the first time I wrote a song, I presented it as a Rancid song.
Meaning that you said it was a Rancid song, even though it was an original of yours, because it sounded enough like it could have been.
Well, because I wanted to see like what someone thought. Like, have you heard this song? And I was like, played it. They're like, oh, it sounds cool. I was like, really? I wrote it.
Did you have a sense of what a good song was when you started writing? Did you have a sense of when you had written a good song that you thought, objectively, I think this is good?
Well, when you're in the throes of passion and you're writing, you always think that. But it was not good for a very long time. I think I was good at being honest with myself. So I would think it was good, and then kind of 6 months later or 3 months later, I'd be like, oh, wait, this is not good. But I would always think it was great. But yeah, I was wondering how to get through. And it took, I don't know, 7, 8 years, I guess, till finally I remember the demo for Soma, the song. I was like, oh shit, this is cool. And like playing it for people.
You had a sense that it wasn't going to be one of those where 3 months later you would no longer think it was good. It just felt different somehow.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I was so good at being hard on myself. And I think, like we'd do demos and be like, oh, let's do shows. And I'd be like, it's not good enough. We can't put it out. And everyone would always be like, come on, no, let's do it. But so I did have some sense. I had sense, but it took 7, 8 years.
But if even the song that you said was Rancid, like if you were to play that for me/someone now, is there a little bit of Julian signature sound in it? Like, would I recognize some of your flair that you still have?
Very cheesy version, though.
Right.
Yeah, no.
But like you're not in the literal sense of your voice, but like the sort of stylistic sense of your voice.
Maybe if I played you the first songs that I thought were pretty like good, maybe they'd still be like cheesy probably compared. But if I played the Rancid one, that one would not be good.
And you were, Nirvana and Green Day and Rancid. Those are bands, obviously, and Did you immediately start thinking like, yeah, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have a band? You weren't going to be a singer-songwriter guy.
Yeah, well, I thought I wanted to be a singer, but I recorded myself on a tape deck to sang along to Pearl Jam. I thought, oh, this is great as I was doing it, and listened back and was horrified how bad my voice was and really depressed, gut punch. So I decided what I was going for. I was trying to be a songwriter and a rhythm guitarist. I didn't want to be like a shredder, really, but I liked, I don't know, I was like Count Basie or like a band leader or at the least just help another band with their songs. I feel like I could write cool parts and make their songs better. And I had kind of resigned that I wasn't going to sing.
So how did you get over that? What made you change your mind?
I didn't really change my mind. I guess I just... When we started, rehearsing with the early, Strokes formations and Friends of that era and teenage years and all that, I guess I would write songs that maybe they liked more or something, or just that we'd play more. I mean, we played everyone's songs kind of, and I think everyone kind of tended to sing their own songs. But it was very casual. We weren't really performing. We did one show once, but it was at the Spiral, which is, I don't know if you remember. Anyone could, all you have to do is call them up or, maybe send a demo, but they say yes or something. I don't know. But it was a slow thing. It was a slow burn. I played the guitar, and I was like, rhythm guitar. I was playing guitar and singing. But then when it got to the point where I was kind of becoming a singer, I didn't want to play the guitar because I wanted to be able to, improvise. And I wanted also the rhythm guitar parts to be not something easy. I didn't like the kind of standard one guy plays the chords and one guy plays a more complicated thing. I liked the idea of, I was romantically, stupidly, I wanted, a modern composer, and I was going to write these complicated things. And I wanted to sing and improvise. And, I loved when Pearl Jam used to improvise and stuff. It was I wanted to do that. I loved, the Doors. I loved Pearl Jam. I guess I loved David Lee Roth. I mean, I think I gravitated towards people who just sang. And I just also, the multitasking, the singing and playing, I always felt like I would do both less well than I wanted to do.
Well, it's also I was noting this watching the show tonight, you're the maestro. You know, it's like you can be more in command. You can wander around. You can pause. You can observe. You can not participate at certain times if you want. You can, you know, it seems like an even more commanding kind of way to be at the helm.
I mean, I guess that's maybe an illusion. I mean, I do. We all. I think it is a joint thing, though. My dream was always I want to just focus on singing and the melody and just have everyone else be like in charge of their own, like that was like the long-term dream of just kind of having people be on another level that I couldn't even, you know, like.
Right. You needed to have someone else do it because you weren't good enough to do it yourself.
Well, I mean, I still like write parts and because always thinking of the melody and harmony, you know, like an example, I say like how Dave Grohl writes drum parts, you know, he always enhances the melody. So I think I always have an ear for that and like maybe I'm the little bit quality control, but I think, you know, working with these guys, the Voidz and stuff, I feel like, yeah, like I don't write drum beats really anymore, you know, because I like the stuff that he plays is like I wouldn't even think of that, and it's like so next level and fun and is enhancing the music. Like sometimes I have a melody and he's playing something and I'm like, maybe something more like, you know, you know, you kind of like sing something like that, and he is very sensitive to melody too, so he's so down and we collaborate. But it's not like I'm not just commanding everyone though. Everyone is really doing amazing
and I
shit.
don't mean like when I say like commanding presence, I don't mean like commanding like 10 Commandments. I guess I just mean like
I remember seeing Prince. He's like, "Give me that snare," and just like this drummer starts going. Yeah, man, it's not quite like that.
But did you feel like that, and I remember just like from the early days of the Strokes, like, you know, there's the sort of the beauty and the mythology of like what a band can be, like that, like the bands that we love, you know, you're like, yeah, they're a unit. There's something like magical about the Beatles or like whatever, like a band. Was that part of your vision, like early on for like, yeah, I want to be part of one of those things?
To be honest, not musically, because I loved Lou Reed and Bob Marley, but I feel like this is, you're a good interviewer, because I feel like these are things I've thought of, but I've never been asked. So, but I think it was just like promotionally, I just knew that like a kind of band is better and easier to kind of just come out of the gate and like have success. Like one guy is kind of like, who is this? It's just what is going on. But a band was, especially like, you know, kind of cool looking band and, you know, a boy band. I'm just kidding. I'm like Simon Cowell. I'm just kidding. No, but it was like a kind of a safety. I mean, there's a lot of different things going on. I do like being part of a team. Like I love, you know, like with soccer, coaching soccer stuff, like I don't even need to, you know, score the goal or whatever. Like I love, like if there was a great politician or, you know, that I believed in or I would love to like work like for them. You know, I don't really weirdly have the kind of natural like desire to necessarily like, I don't know, be like a leader or whatever. I guess because I just find myself in these positions where it's like, shit, well, I guess you have to. But I just want to be part of like something that you know, everyone is coming together and becoming greater than they can be on their own and stuff. So I kind of have that too. And that I think is why I was having problems as the Strokes kind of like got dysfunctional and, you know, a little whatever. I don't want to talk negatively, but, you know, it's like a team. It's like when there's like, you know, unhappy players and, you know, they don't want to practice or, you know what I mean? Like whatever, as an example. I'm not saying they didn't want to practice. I'm just saying.
Right. It's just an analogy.
Yeah. It's just, it gets hard and it's kind of like, and, you know, you meet when you're, you know, 17, 16.
And I feel like
so to be on the same page when you're 30s and stuff, yeah.
Right, but I feel like that's the way whether it's people who are supporting a politician and helping get them elected, or in a band environment, or any team, there's roles, right? There's roles that some people, they prefer their role to be in a support capacity. Some people's role is more at the front of house or whatever, like. That's the only, I feel like that's
We are hierarchical beings. I don't think there's a problem with that. Obviously, I think, side note, I'm not trying to drag politics, but obviously income inequality and like worse than Pharaoh times, stupid, but just in terms of, even like, it's like economist Richard Wolff, who's like really smart, it'd just be like, yeah, someone's like good at this job and they get a little more, like they're in charge. And so like, it's not, I think there's also an element of just kind of almost behaving like you're in the jungle a little bit, like in terms of respect. And so it's like, if you can offer a thing, and I feel like I've been doing it and we trust each other and we respect each other. So they know that if I'm like, feel really strongly about something, they'll kind of like, if they disagree, they'll say, but it's like, oh man, I think I know how to record this thing, or I have an idea for this thing. And because I've been doing it, so they'll like listen, but the same way they'll bring in something that's mind blowing and I'm like, this is done. Like, let me just sing on this. This is perfect. So we all take turns being each other's older brother. And, we all have different skills, and there's different moments when we're like, Alex is such a like insane, there's times when he's just like the Amir, everyone, just Jeremy, just everyone has this like, Jake and Jeff too, but like everyone has these like glorious moments where they're the kind of like, in my mind, like the star, and it can just be even like in life or whatever. And I think, there's a balance, a healthy balance of like wanting to like make money, wanting to be successful, wanting to do a cool artistic thing, probably first and foremost, but also kind of respect each other, have a good time, enjoy our lives. And so I think, we're just kind of like, if we're 5 dudes playing music in the jungle, you know what I mean? It's not just like, well, I'm the star and I need this, or it's just, I don't know, there's just being respectful, I guess, is a short way of saying it.
When did you start to feel, though, confident in the ideas that you were coming up with? Going back to that Soma example where you were just like, that's the first time you were like, okay, no, this one, I'm still going to like this one in 3 months or whatever.
Honestly, probably like 6 months ago.
Really?
Yeah, probably after we finished this record. Yeah, I think I'm like, okay, I think I know how I want to record.
What was it that you figured out? What did this process teach you that you're just like, oh, I hadn't thought of that before?
People to record with, place to record in, producers to work with.
Yeah.
And approach of music, like, because you can write so many different, you can write like kind of direction of what we want to achieve, like vision of what it will sound like in the end, and all the parts necessary to make that happen, having them at hand.
Right. How do you loosely sort of conceptualize what the difference is between what you're trying to do and succeeding in doing? Trying sounds like whatever, but like between the Voidz and the Strokes, like what do you see as being the key difference in the musical goals of those two things?
Well, to me, the Strokes was the beginning of this journey, and I was doing a lot more of the stuff, which is cool and fun and fine, and we all like obviously like came together to be part of what it was, but I just think the journey that I thought we were gonna do didn't quite happen, but so now I'm kind of doing that in my mind with the Voidz, so it's like, for me, it's like a straight line, but the Strokes kind of became the kind of like company that funds the arts projects. Like it just took on, it just became this thing. It makes money. It's like, I did put like, my life into it. So I still, enjoy it, or, it's not like I disown the song. So I'm happy to, play the songs or whatever, I think the chemistry that we've built from playing together is just there, and it's apparent. And so, we still have that. It's a successful thing. I have energy to be in like, several things. Honestly, maybe not the time anymore. But, at least when I was first doing Cult Records, I thought like, I have so many friggin' ideas for stuff, like idea generator, that, maybe having a label so I could do stuff with 10 bands at the same time. But now I've realized, no, maybe 2 is like a good max number.
2 is a lot.
But I think basically it's become its own thing, and everyone's come to their own. And I don't want to like butt heads. I want to be like friends and respectful. And so we just come in with a different kind of thing. And, Rick Rubin has helped us with that because he's kind of, someone we all agree with or, at least listen to. And so, because back in the day, I feel like, if I'm like, oh, I like this song or this part, it was kind of like, I don't know. There's always like a lack of trust thing. But, now it's like if Rick says it, it's like, they'll do it, so it's easier.
Just look at Rick's beard.
Well, I just think it is a collaboration, but it's just a different kind of collaboration. And it's different than what I am thinking about, that what excites me, but it's something that a lot of people love. So it's a different part of me, I guess, now, weirdly. But it's evolved in a way that I think is cool too. So I don't fight it.
Yeah. I was thinking earlier about like a parallel universe where the Strokes where it took longer for the Strokes to succeed. Like in a parallel universe where the Strokes were obscure for 2 albums or 3 albums before, like a band like Modest Mouse, it took like till 4 albums in, or like Soul Asylum or something like that, like 6 albums in before people sort of caught on. And it gives everyone time to not have everything compared to like the first thing as much.
Right. People seem to like the last record though. Like,
no, I know. I don't. I mean, of course. I just mean like I wonder. It's like when you do well early on, it creates this artificial pressure to like always be that or something in a way that you have. Then you're constantly sort of. There's like reacting to a perception that it shapes things in a way.
For sure. I mean, that definitely fucked me up for years. I think that's why I said 6 months ago, because there was just a constant pushing and pulling. Like the first Voidz record I did like the first solo record. I kind of had to start from scratch, and I was like rusty, and it was weird, and I was confused, and I had like all these kind of ideas, but I didn't really know how to do it. I was used to doing it with them, and so doing it alone and with Jason, the producer, it's kind of like it was a new experience, and it was fun and cool in some ways. But literally day 1 of rehearsal, I was like, oh shit, this is how I like to write music, and like I like to we play it, and then it's like, oh, you know what, let's do it a little slower. It was like the drum beat, we laid it down, and we, traditional, and then the bass line, and then the thing, and then, we're doing it in the box, and it's not how, so, and then also I thought, oh, I went like safe, because I didn't want people to just kind of not care about it, or just whatever, shove it aside. So, and then we went like super kind of prog, dark, future, sludge, and then we were very happy doing it, and there was like a freedom and excitement, it felt like Miles Davis or something. And then kind of everyone just seemed to like be like, what the fuck is this? And it was like, ooh, maybe we too far, a date too far on the time machine, and like let's back it off a little. Let's like, and then so that's what's been the kind of thing. And I think now, you've kind of realized, yeah, because you're just always the same with the Strokes. I mean, it's like the first record. The second record was easy because it was a continuation of the first one. And I knew exactly, it was like, for me, it was part 2. There was like 2 or 3 songs that were feeling like a new thing. It was Reptilia, The End Has No End, and they were like starting to sound like the third record. And that's kind of, but basically that was, the second record was like, it's a continuation of the first one. And then, of course, people were like, it sounds too much like the first one. Okay, whatever. And then we do the third one. And then, people always like, when you listen, it's like half for yourself, half for other people. So now I think I've realized how to kind of find that sweet spot where I can confidently, feel like I can absorb the criticism and just deal with it and be like, okay, I guess I gotta make it better next time if, to like also, I think you just really don't understand, and you'll probably come around someday, because people have been saying no thanks, and then 10 years later being like, it's so great. And it's like,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just the hugest grain of salt that I feel like the opinions that reach you or someone in your position, you know, an artist who has an audience, the opinions that reach you, they're not the opinions of all the people in that room tonight who were freaking the fuck out and knew all of the songs. You don't get to hear from those people until you're playing a show or something. And the smatterings of opinion that get to you are like people who are reactive in a way that's not helpful. And it's not a reflection of how the music actually stacks up in your body of work or something. When you talk about Phrases for the Young, like, that's a fucking great record. Like, I get why you would say, like, oh, you were learning how to do the thing on your own, but it doesn't even need to be in retrospect. It's like, it was great then, it's still great now, and...
But that's the thing, grain of salt, like, it's not even music, it's the internet now is, you know, comment sections. It's like an open mic for like everyone's trying to like say the funniest, meanest joke, and it's obviously we all enjoy it on some level. It's like, you know, gossip magazines or something. It's just kind of like it's part of humanity, but also it can be awful for the victims. But it's like, oh, we're not gonna, you know, complain about it if, you know, if someone's like successful enough. So I get it all. But it's just, it's so wild. You do have to just tune it out, because as much as, you know, you want to be above it, it's intense when people say intensely negative stuff.
Oh yeah, because they just said something that's the thing, your worst fear of what someone, you know, somehow somebody said the thing that you most feared someone would say, and you're like, gah, they said exactly the thing I hated to see the most.
And I agree sometimes too, and you just gotta go back and go to the drawing board and like, you just work harder, because it is easy to get complacent always with any success on any level. You know, even in a relationship, you know, things are going well, you're just like, oh, things are going well, and you stop. You know, it's everything in life is like that, so.
What is the most rewarding part of the process of all of the things that you do? What's your favorite? When are you most in like sort of not second guessing, not judging yourself, like in like flow state or whatever? When does that happen?
You know, studio, the first phases of things, you know, the first phases of writing something that you're liking, the first time something is coming together as a group, the first time you're hearing it out of the speakers back good, the first time you're hearing the final product right, the first time you're playing the song well in rehearsal, the first time you're playing it well live. So all of those are great. And then obviously, yeah, sometimes like if you're jamming and it's a cool moment, that's probably the most exciting. And you're like, write something that you're just like, whoa, this is like a very next level song that I'm just coming up with on the spot in front of thousands of people. That's kind of probably my favorite current rush in terms of music.
Meaning writing, meaning improvising at a show?
Yeah. We didn't really do it tonight because I think it was our first show, and but yeah, sometimes we kind of go for it. I mean, just accidentally. We just do it naturally all the time. It's like a problem. We write too many. That's why we have so many songs. It's kind of like annoying. I have to.
In a sort of extended, like section of a song that's on the set list, when you're doing your thing, you're improvising as a vocalist, and the rest of the guys are doing something, like the beginning of a new song is potentially emerging.
Well, sometimes they're doing a new thing, and it's cool. And sometimes I jump on, and it's a whole new, just a new song. And but like today, when we did like the end of Eternal Tao, I don't know, I feel like I did a melody at the end that was actually a jam that I did on stage in San Francisco, I think. And I remember I was like, oh, that was cool. And I went back and listened to it, and it's in my head, so I know it. So I'm copying a jam. But the first time I did that in San Francisco, I remember that was kind of like, I don't know, it freaks you out. When you feel like you do something good, it's always weird.
Do you record the shows so that you have that to refer back to, or the good stuff sticks with you?
Yeah. I mean, not like for that reason, but I think we just had it recorded. Because, we have it recorded in case there's a cool jam, specifically like a new idea, a new song idea.
But has that always been with the Voidz, like a thing that's been part of the live show is having those moments, or is that a more recent?
It's always been there. It like developed, and we kind of hit a stride, and then we like were off duty for a long time, and then came back and kind of overdid it, like weren't in the stride of jamming and tried, and it was a little like weird, and so we kind of reined it in, and so, but I think we're slowly creeping back there.
It's back, baby.
I mean, we'll see.
Are you sort of writing on your own when you're just at home drinking your coffee or waiting for a phone? Like, do you have a sort of practice on your own?
I mean, it's really, you don't know. Yeah, I mean, sometimes dreams, sometimes. A lot of times I'll hear a song in a dream that I think is really cool. But it's just part of the dream, like, because music is, and it'll be like someone else's song, and then but you wake up and realize you made it up, which is kind of, I guess, how you write, weirdly.
Will you then try and quickly record that? Yeah.
They'll jam, sometimes I'll sing over stuff, but I'll still sometimes play the guitar. I try to not even play the guitar, because if I pick up a guitar and play the guitar, I will probably write something. It's a problem. Because I don't like pick up the guitar and play like songs I know. I mean, I can. I pick up the guitar mainly to figure things out and work things. And then once you have something, like if I want to figure out a song I heard on the radio or something, or if we're working out a song we're working on. But if I'm just noodling around, noodling is writing, and I might start doing something interesting and I'll record it.
Do you have ideas for musical endeavors in your future that you haven't done yet? Like, are there sort of kinds of albums you can imagine that when you're older you'll make or something? I
mean, there's too much. Yeah, I had like a whole classical phase, and then, movie scores. But it's so time consuming, and no one seems interested. I don't know. I call people and I'm like, hey, and they're just like, we got a guy. We're good.
Those people are dumb.
I listen, I don't know. I respect what they want to do. It's fine. It's so much work.
Yeah.
Doing a score, on our floor, we used to work on, there was a lot of composers, movie score, and it was a friend of mine, we worked on a song. It was like 2-3 minutes, and it's not that it's that much work, it's that the options are so crazy and endless. Like, you take one scene where two people are talking, the music changes everything. It's like, are they fighting? Are they flirting? Are they crazy? Are they cheesy? I don't know, you could put two songs in, one at the beginning, one at the end. You can have like a score stuff. You could have a famous song. So there's 30 ways to kind of mess it up. And then there's 3 ways that are cool, and you don't even know which one, because you've seen it now 35 times. So I think a movie would be a very intense endeavor.
Right, a worthy challenge, though, I'm sure.
I mean, I barely have time to just record, these songs.
Right. Yeah. I guess I'm talking about like 20 years from now or something, when we get to old Julian,
Might be there already.
Well, I'm going to wrap us up there. That was so awesome. Thank you so much for giving me the time.
Thank you. Great to see you. You're looking awesome. You look the same.
So do you.
I don't know, but we're both blonde, weirdly.
Can I take a picture of us together?
Sure.
Maybe turn off these.
Thanks again to Julian for meeting up for that interview. And hopefully the Voidz will announce more shows soon. You can keep up with them at thevoidz.com. And thank you for listening to the LSQ podcast. You can find other episodes at jennylsq.com and on all the platforms now, including YouTube as well. And if you have questions or feedback, reach me on Instagram at jennylsq.